Everyone, this is Melissa Morris from Bright Pet Behavior and Training, and this is a video about recognizing fear or discomfort in a dog's body language. Before dogs growl, bark, or bite, they communicate how they're feeling through subtle changes in their body language. If we know what to look for, we can recognize signs of stress, fear, or discomfort before things escalate. In this section, we'll break down the key areas of a dog's body, eyes, ears, mouth, tail, posture, and behavior, and show you how to interpret what they're saying. Learning to read these signals is one of the most important skills you can develop as a handler or trainer. When a dog is relaxed, you'll typically see soft, almond-shaped eyes. The muscles around the eyes are loose, and their gaze moves naturally through the environment. But when a dog is stressed, or anxious, or afraid, their eyes start to look different. Here are some signs to watch for. Squinting, where the eyelids are partially closed. Hard stare is when the eyes are very still, wide open, and fixed. The dog may be staring directly at a person, another animal, or a trigger. It's not a relaxed gaze, it's intense. A hard stare can be a warning sign that the dog is feeling trapped. Dilated pupils, so if the dog's pupils are very large, even in bright lighting, it could be a response to fear or arousal. Averted gaze or avoidance, so dogs will often look away or avoid eye contact when they're uncomfortable. It's the dog basically saying that they don't want conflict. If they keep turning their head away or glancing at you out of the corner of their eye, it could mean they're anxious. Fixated, unable to distract, so constant staring and not able to move their gaze away. Hypervigilance, where they continually scan the environment for possible threats. Or whale eye, and this is when you can see the white part of the dog's eye, especially in a crescent shape at the corner. It means the dog is looking sideways while keeping their head still, and this is often a sign that the dog is uncomfortable. When trying to understand how a dog is feeling, their face and mouth can be incredibly expressive indicators of stress, anxiety, or fear. First, tightly closed mouth. A relaxed dog often has a slightly open mouth, possibly panting gently. When a dog is stressed or on alert, you might notice their mouth closes abruptly and becomes tight. This tension in the jaw is an early sign that the dog is uncomfortable. Lip licking or tongue flicks. One of the more subtle stress signals is when a dog repeatedly flicks their tongue out to lick their lips, especially when there's no food around. This isn't about being hungry, it's a calming signal dogs use when they feel nervous or unsure. Quick, repeated tongue flicks can be a way to self-soothe or communicate discomfort. Yawning. While yawning can indicate tiredness, in a training or therapy setting, repeated yawning is more often a sign of stress or conflict. It's a displacement behavior, something the dog does to cope with pressure or uncertainty. Tense facial muscles. So look for tension around the muzzle, especially around the corners of the mouth called the commissures. In a stressed dog, these corners may be pulled far back or tightly closed. You may also see wrinkling around the nose or a furrowed brow. Drooling when out of context. So if a dog is drooling and there's no food around, it could indicate stress or nausea. In tense situations, excessive drooling can be a physical response to anxiety. Vocalizations, so whining, low growls, or sudden barking, may also indicate fear or stress. Some dogs whine when they're anxious, especially if they're feeling conflicted. Panting, so if a dog is heavily panting when it's not hot, that is also a sign that they could be stressed or anxious. A relaxed dog typically has soft, neutral ears. The exact position will depend on the breed. Some dogs have upright ears, some have floppy ones, but in general, relaxed ears follow the dog's movement and are positioned in a natural, comfortable way. When a dog is stressed, anxious, or afraid, their ears will change in both position and muscle tension, such as pinned back ears. When a dog pulls their ears back tightly against their head, it's often a sign of fear or nervousness. This is different from ears that are gently resting back. These are tight and held low. Rapid ear flicking. If a dog's ears are rapidly flicking back and forth or reacting to every little sound, they may be in a heightened state of arousal or anxiety. This can happen when the dog is on edge or feeling uncertain in a busy or overstimulating environment. Tense or pinched ears. Even if the ears aren't pinned back, you may notice that they are very still or held rigidly. This stiffness often comes with muscle tension throughout the face and body and is a subtle indicator that the dog is uncomfortable. Asymmetrical ear positioning. One ear up, one ear to the side, or one back and one forward can indicate uncertainty or conflicting emotions. The dog might be trying to gather more information about what's going on while also feeling nervous about it. When it comes to understanding a dog's emotions, the tail is one of the most commonly misunderstood body parts. Many people think a wagging tail always means a happy dog, but that's not always the case. To accurately read a dog's emotional state, we need to look at tail position, motion, and context. First, a tucked tail. A tail that is tucked tightly under the body is a clear sign of fear. This is one of the most obvious signals that a dog is uncomfortable. Low and still, so if the tail is hanging low and held still, especially if the rest of the body is tense, is often a sign of stress. This is a subtler sign than the full tucked tail, but still worth paying attention to. Stiff, so a tail held high and rigid, especially if paired with a tense body. This is common in dogs who are on alert. Fast, so a fast tail wag with a stiff body is not necessarily friendly. If the tail is wagging quickly but tightly, like a metronome, and the dog looks tense elsewhere, it is often a sign of stress. Flagging, so flagging is when the tail is held straight up and may move slowly or vibrate slightly. This is a sign that the dog is highly aroused and possibly on the verge of reacting. It can be seen right before a bark, lunge, or growl. On the other hand, a soft, sweeping wag combined with a loose, wiggly body generally does indicate a relaxed, friendly dog. It's all about context. When trying to determine how a dog is feeling, one of the most important things we can do is look at the dog's entire body, not just the face or tail. Dogs use their whole body to communicate, and many of the clearest signs of stress or fear can show up in their posture and movement. When a dog leans or shifts their weight away from a person, object, or other animal, it's often a clear signal of discomfort. They're trying to increase distance without physically moving away. Lunging is often misunderstood. While it can be a sign of aggression, it's frequently rooted in fear or anxiety. The dog is trying to create space, often because they feel threatened or trapped. A dog that crouches or lowers its body to the ground is likely feeling insecure. It is a signal that the dog is trying to avoid conflict. It's often paired with ears back, tail tucked, or averted eyes. Trembling can be caused by cold or illness, but in a behavioral context, it's often a clear stress signal. Dogs may tremble in response to fear, anxiety, or overwhelming environments. You might notice a dog give a full body shake, like they're drying off even though they're not wet. This shake off is a calming signal and a way for dogs to release built up tension. Some dogs shed excessively when they're nervous or stressed. You may notice a sudden flurry of fur in a new situation. It's part of the body's natural stress response and can happen even in dogs that aren't heavy shedders normally. A dog that physically steps backwards is trying to increase distance from something that they feel unsafe or uncomfortable around. While rolling on the back can sometimes be an invitation for belly rubs in relaxed dogs, in a stress context, it's very different. A dog who rolls over with a stiff body, tucked tail, or frozen facial expression is showing a sign of appeasement or an attempt to avoid confrontation. One of the earliest signs of stress is overall body stiffness. A tense dog may look frozen or statue-like. When dogs are stressed, fearful, or overwhelmed, their behavior changes. Sometimes the signs are subtle, but other times the dog communicates in very clear and direct ways. These more overt behaviors can often be misinterpreted as disobedience, defiance, or even aggression, when in reality, they're emotional responses to discomfort or fear. Growling is a dog's way of saying, "I'm uncomfortable, please give me space." It's a warning, not an act of aggression. A growl is a valuable communication tool that tells you the dog is reaching their limit. Punishing a dog for growling can suppress this warning, which may result in the dog skipping straight to biting in the future. Always listen to the growl and assess what's causing the stress. A snarl, when a dog lifts their lips and shows their teeth, often accompanied by a growl, is an escalation of that same warning. It's a clear signal that the dog is feeling threatened and trying to protect themselves. Again, this is communication. The dog is saying, "Please back off, I'm not okay." Displacement behaviors are actions that seem out of place in the moment, like sudden sniffing, scratching, sneezing, yawning, or licking. These behaviors are used by dogs to cope with conflict or stress. For example, a dog that starts sniffing the ground when approached by a stranger might be trying to diffuse tension and redirect their own anxiety. Some dogs respond to stress by going quiet and still. This is often mistaken for calmness, but a shut-down dog is emotionally withdrawn. They may stop responding to cues, avoid eye contact, and appear checked out. A dog that retreats under furniture, behind their handler, or into another room is trying to escape something they find scary or uncomfortable. Hiding is a clear signal that the dog doesn't feel safe. Stress can interfere with a dog's ability to eat. If your dog normally takes treats happily, but suddenly refuses them during training or visits, it may be a sign that they're over threshold. Loss of appetite is an especially important red flag when working with nervous or therapy dogs. Urinating or defecating in unusual places, especially when the dog is otherwise potty trained, can be a stress response. This is not a behavioral problem to be corrected, but a symptom of emotional distress. Not all stress looks like fear or freezing. Some dogs respond to stress by becoming overly bouncy, mouthy, or unfocused. This hyperactivity is a form of displacement energy. They're trying to self-regulate by moving, vocalizing, or seeking attention. Now that we've explored the different ways dogs use their eyes, ears, face, mouth, tail, and entire body to communicate, it's important to step back and talk about the big picture. Reading body language isn't about focusing on a single sign in isolation. A wagging tail doesn't always mean a happy dog. A dog that yawns might not be tired. One behavior can mean many different things depending on the context and the dog's full body expression. That is why it's important to look at the whole dog. Ask yourself, what are their eyes doing? How tense is their body? Are they leaning in or pulling away? Are they taking treats or refusing food? Is their energy rising or shutting down? When we combine these signals and consider the environment they're in, we get a much clearer picture of how the dog is truly feeling. This is especially important when working in therapy settings or with sensitive dogs. Many dogs are very subtle in how they show stress. If we only pay attention once they bark, growl, or shut down, we've already missed the earlier signals. Your ability to read these signs early and respond appropriately helps build trust, prevent escalation, and create a safer, more respectful experience for both the dog and the people they interact with.